does the rest of Karen Reed's life look like?
Mm. Mm. That's a good one, Pete. That is a good one. I mean, she is kind of a celebrity. So it would have been so much easier for me to say what it was going to be 20 years ago, and that would be the reality TV circuit. You know what I mean? Like she would
Yeah.
just be on Big Brother and Survivor, and actually she'd probably be the Bachelorette. She's kind of right between the Bachelorette and Golden Bachelorette, right?
Oh, dude.
Like I mean, that would print money. I mean, she would do something like that. I'll bet she does a podcast. How
Okay.
about that? She does a podcast. There's going to be more documentaries made. And I think she's going to live off this a lot. And what's funny about it is she doesn't have to. Like, she's clearly very smart. She was very successful in her career before this all happened. But she's a star, man. And now she is a star. I think she's going to live off that quite a bit. I think she's probably banging her lawyer. And we'll do some sort of podcast reality TV circuit combo.
So, yeah, I'm sort of with you. Like, I don't think, like, we're
Pulled
not talking about
over.
celebrity. What's up?
I'm telling her not to get pulled over. That's probably not a great thing for the rest of your life. I would say in that area. Maybe move to California or something.
Well, and that's a very good point. But I think that she will be reality. Remaining in the public eye. I don't think
Yes.
I think she is too smart to be like, you're not going to see her like celebrity boxing or anything like that. Like, I don't think she'll bottom. I hope she doesn't bottom out.
That
I
would be
think
great. Yeah.
she had too much of a career before this. Well, when you see stuff now that's out there that says, and I've seen some going into the weeds, some conspiracy stuff like, these jurors were like, free Karen Reed supporters. If you see the jury now, like going out front, right, doing media interviews and stuff, do you put anything like any stock into that? Like, do you believe that is all possibility? Like, because I always go back to, we were just talking about the best documentaries of all time, the OJ case, where people felt like it was their rite of passage to let OJ off because of years of sinister behavior by the LAPD. With Karen Reed, it's almost the same thing. We have years of whatever with Boston PD, and maybe there's another instance of that here. So do you buy into that at all? Like, that this is a jury with a job to do inside their heads?
I mean, yeah, to some extent, right? Like, I didn't think there was any way that she was just going to be found guilty. I thought it would have been a hung jury. This case, at least that we've seen in the public. But yeah, I think there's definitely some of that there. And I'll go back to when I was back home last summer, man. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't drive in my car listening to sports talk radio, family parties with a bunch of 60-year-olds, a supermarket, nowhere without talking about this case. Everybody's got an opinion on this case. And the Dedham court was an absolute friggin' madhouse every time she was there. So all that to say, like, there's no way to not get, I don't know, to be totally not privy to this case, right? There's no way to not have kind of a bias here. Everybody's got an opinion. It was probably the same way with the OJ case, a little bit before my time. But I think there's no way that there's not some bias in that jury. And yeah, I hope that there's not something in 20 years where one of the jurors says, yeah, we knew she was probably guilty, but we needed to prove a point, like some of those OJ jurors did, like on camera, which was just horrifying. But I do think there's just no way that there's not some sort of bias there.
What, for you, like, was justice served?
Well, no, because we still don't know what happened. So to me, that's not justice. I mean, it is a sense of justice that I don't think Karen Reed did it. So I think or we don't have the evidence to show that Karen Reed did it. And in this country, that means you don't get put in prison. So I think
and I understand
is
that from a court and a legal perspective.
Yeah.
But then what the hell happened?
That's the thing.
And
we've talked about it on the show.
What the hell happened? Did those guys drag him in there, beat the shit out of him with their dog, eating him up, and then leave him for dead in the snow? Like, did that happen?
I mean, that's what I think the Karen Reed people think, right? Karen Reed and her team. I think
I
that's
don't believe that's
what
what
they
happened.
think. And we've talked about this before, right? Of like, it's a house full of cops. Like, they could have done so many other things to cover this up if they wanted to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Not just frame his girlfriend, who most of them didn't like that. It's just, there's too much there. But again, man, the Google searches and all that, the butt dials, it's just really, really fishy. I just then think, with a bunch of cops in that house, if they wanted to do this, they could have. I mean, they could have just said, "Hey, he never came to the door," which is basically what they did say, right? He never came to the door. He might have wandered off in the woods. There's a railroad back there. Who knows? And they could have just had him on a railroad track and say, "Oh, he was drunk and he passed out and it's a tragic accident." But instead, they tried to frame Karen Reed. It's just, I don't know. There's just a lot. There's still a lot of questions. So to me, we have not hit peak justice yet, Pete. We have not hit it. We have hit some sort of American justice by the fact that she's not in jail because we don't have the evidence to put her in jail. But there's too many questions for me to say, hell yeah, justice.
There's one last thing, and we'll let you go after this because you got a busy show. We'll get to the Celtics another time.
Yeah, it's not that busy.
Karen Reed making out with the cop is probably the most underreported part of this story. Like, if you watch a 2-hour documentary on this, let's say this isn't a for instance, it's true. If you watch the Dateline that was up last week, they get into it, right? They talk about how she made out with this guy. If you watch the 2020, they don't even put that part in there. That is a major part, if nothing else less for the entertainment value of it, that she was flirting with this guy and made out with him. Yeah. And he was at the bar the night that John died and texted her like
like you up question mark. Yeah, I would say, like, if you go into any other like true crime story, because I know you follow a bit of those, I follow a bit of those. That is a motive. Like, you know what I mean? That gets pieced together as a motive in a lot of these cases. Yes. And like, I'm not saying, oh my God, they flirted, so they must have colluded to kill him. But like, that is seen as a motive and brought in for questioning in a ton of other cases. But I don't know if it's because he's another cop or what, but like, that would absolutely, in a lot of cases, constitute something of a motive from the Karen Reed side of things. Oh, I don't know. It is bizarre.
Yeah,
it was a cringy moment in court, by the way.
But, and I know her and John weren't married and whatever, but it says to me, like, her character, that's kind of like suspect, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
I think there's plenty in here. Yeah.
And it's probably like she's not feeling the love from John, so she's got to go somewhere else to drum it up. It's like, come on, Karen, right?
I was embarrassed of that. I was embarrassed of that whole thing. I didn't even want to screw him. I really didn't. I was just trying to make John mad. And we just hear a bunch of that. That was such a cringy moment in the HBO thing too.
Do you find her a sympathetic figure?
No.
I don't. I'm wondering why all these other people do.
No. And you know what's actually funny about that is, like, I lean on a ton of what I've seen in sports over the years to come to that conclusion of, like, does she deserve to be in jail? I don't think so. I don't think you have enough against her, and I'm glad that she's not in jail for that reason. But sympathetic? No. I don't think she's very likable. She's taken this whole opportunity to become a celebrity, like taking selfies with people, signing autographs, inviting some media members out for dinner. Like, to me, that's not how to handle this. And it becomes the Karen Reed trial and not the John O'Keefe trial. And so I don't sympathize. No, I'm glad she's not in jail again because of this, but I don't think she's a very likable figure. And therefore I'm not too sympathetic. Her life's going to go on. Like, she's free and she's going to get all the publicity that she sought out, whether it's good or bad. She sought out a ton of publicity as this trial went on. I know she didn't ask to be a part of this trial, but clearly she hammed it up quite a bit. Like, you and I could both agree on that. She loved having the cameras in her faces quite a bit.
This summer, is she Martha's Vineyard, Newport, Rhode Island, Cape Cod? Where is she?
I mean, she can afford Nantucket at this point.
I
Yeah,
forgot.
maybe she gets away. Maybe she gets way down to Newport, which is like an hour from Boston. Maybe. But yeah, I think she's an island girl for the summer. Probably keep it to herself.
She's got to get. The one thing we'll learn about
Her
her,
and
and
the
we touched
lawyer
on
get a
this
place in
a little bit.
Nantucket.
Yeah, we touched on this a little bit. She's got to get out of that area. If she stays in that area, she's got major league balls.
Maybe that's what she thinks she has. Maybe she thinks she's got major league balls. But yes, she should. If I were her, I wouldn't even live in Massachusetts anymore. I
It's like
would I
OJ
would
staying in
leave the
Brentwood.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I might even leave the country if I was her, just to get away from it. But she kind of loves it. But then again, you can't go out and have 10 drinks and drive anymore, Karen. Like they're gonna get you. They're gonna throw the book at you. You know what I mean? You can't make a misstep in Canton anymore.
The stakes have raised.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
All right, Cam Stewart, you're the best, dude. Check him out on the Cam Show. I really was like, we were so sped up on Monday. I had to talk to you about this trial. So I appreciate your time, dude.
Hey, I appreciate you having me as always, Peter.
All right, the Cam Stewart Show. Check him out. That is coming up here shortly. Actually, it's just about to start. So there you go.